Welcome back to a big update video this time. We will make a complete update on AMC and GME, and this time I will throw everything what we worked for the last 2-3 months. What I mean with that, two completely fresh updated charts: the dilution chart, how a V should look like, and the combo chart. So we have everything in one video, and we will make a big update on BYND, a big update on DJT, and just for the end, we will do a first time look on SOUN. If you're interested, just stay tuned. As always, I'm using the Fractal Method. I will link the explanation video at the end of the chart, or you just search for the Fractal Method on my channel. Okay, let's jump into AMC. So this time, one last time, the full story, just because I will relink this video from now on every time as an explanation video, so we don't have to go over it over and over and over again. So for AMC without any fractal theory or anything else is in a megaphone pattern. Yeah, we touched it in 2020 to the downside, we touched it in 2024 to the downside, and we broke it in 2026. We touched it in 2021 on the upper side, and in my opinion, there's still a big chance that for the next squeeze, we are touching it again. It just depends when. This year, it will be 800. Next year, it would be something 1000. I know it sounds stupid, and so many people are saying it is impossible because of fundamentals. But to be fair, in 2021, it was the same talk. Will never happen, won't ever happen, can't happen, blah, 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 blah. And you all know from my theory, fundamentals don't mean shit. It doesn't matter. And especially we saw in so many other stocks, even especially stocks without options, that they can run in a day, in a week, 10, 20, 50,000% with no fundamentals. But of course, nobody is from the news side, nobody is talking about these stocks because nobody is looking at them. So for the fractal theory, in 2021, we did our V. In January, we broke out of the trend, made our A, made our pullback and breakout retest. And especially if we take from our V to the top of a fib, you perfectly bounced at the 618. After that, we went 100 days to the side or in a little uptrend. We didn't do our V pullback, just ran to our C. And since then, since 2020-21, we are falling down. Before we go into the micro tracking, I also say I am one of the persons who are tracking this for a 2-part squeeze. I'm not saying a 1-part squeeze is impossible, but I'm tracking 2021. Yeah? And for the fractal theory is always repeating itself. Yeah? It gets bigger and slower and longer, but the main landmarks normally are always the same. That's why I am expecting a 2-part squeeze again. So if this was the bottom or not doesn't matter in this case. We just say this last week was the bottom. How high would be our A go? Well, in that case, we are not breaking under this trend line again, and we have to go so high that we can bounce on this trend line with a 618. So we take from our hopefully bottom now the fib, and we look where we have to go so we don't break under this trend line, and so we can bounce at the 618. In this case right now it would be 115. Yeah? Then we will come back down so that the uptrend should be pretty instant. The pullback should also be pretty instant. After that, you're doing this sideways shit. The thing is, in 2021, from our A to our peak all-time high, it took 121 days. Because the fractal already is getting way bigger, I would say even double it would be maybe too short. So if we're doing this in March, April, May, yeah, I don't think we will see this year. Most likely we will see this also in March, April, May 2027. If you're doing a one-part squeeze, perfect. Why not? I take it. If you reject somewhere around 150, 150, careful. This can take a while. Okay. Before we look into micro-tracking, because I already showed that, but so we have that in one video. Because the next two questions, I already know them, is the bottom already in? Can we squeeze from the bottom? And I can only show what we did in the three main squeezes of AMC. First one, of course, 2021. We fell over weeks back then. Yeah. Fall. One last week up, massive fall. Yeah. Also, I already showed that in the last videos. You have a pretty significant drop for your V. Yeah. In that case, a really nice candle, only one, no double bottom. Then little higher low, big higher low. Yeah. And after that, you did your A. Yeah. This one here. And this A made a 0.5 pullback. After that, you went into your squeeze. So also in 2021, no squeeze from the V. You had to do your higher low and your A. Next main squeeze in AMC was April or May 2024. Also here, we fell over weeks and months. The last candle was pretty deep and pretty steep. Also here, you made no double bottom. It was just one candle and an instant V. In 2024, you didn't do your higher low, but you did your A. Also here, you took from the V to the top. It was a 618. Perfect A pullback, a small higher low, and then you went to your squeeze. Also in 2024, no squeeze from the V. And the last squeeze, 2025, also April, you also made a not so long fall down, but also here you see it was a pretty significant landmark, just one candle down, no double bottom, instant V. Also here, you didn't make your A here, but you did your higher low, and then you squeeze. Also in 2025, we didn't squeeze from the V. So here are we sitting in 2026. So thing is, first of all, was this our bottom, our all-time low or not? The thing is this, I showed you now 21, 24, and 2025. The thing is, for me personally, this isn't really looking like the last squeezes, because this is a normal steady downtrend, but not really a sharp V to the downside. Because this here looks like this, and this. And you also don't really have a really significant V here. For this, that my main problem is this pullback, and especially this pullback right now. Yeah? So for the bearish version, we should see next week the really V, and that I mean the really V to the downside. Yeah? I still think we won't break $1, but for this case, I really want to see a sharp knife and a sharp bounce. Yeah? That would be the bearish version. For the bullish versions, it's not a double bottom. Yeah? So this could work as a V. If this is the V, what are we doing now? Yeah? The thing is, I already said last week, if this was the bottom and we see the higher low, we could see a squeeze next week. Also, yeah, next week. Main problem is this is not our higher low. It isn't. Because if you take the V to here, we are not under the 786. For this, we have to drop 1 cent under $1.13. And of course, we're not allowed to break or touch $1.10. I mean, okay, you could do that in pre-market and then you squeeze. Fine. Okay, I give that 5% chance. Okay. If not, we are looking now at the slowest version. Because this is something. It could be something. This could be just our little A, because we bounced at the 618. Okay, so we are doing the higher low now. What does it mean? We go up Monday, Tuesday, yeah, doing the B and the C. For this, and this would be our higher low, yeah, because if we do that, after that we have to fall under 114 again. So this would look like this. Yeah. In that case, we won't break over $1.33 and pull back to 114, 113. Yeah. In my opinion, this is easily done in 1 week. For this, it would still be the slow version, because after that, you're still doing your A. This could take also only 1 week or 2 or 3 or 4. For this, we really have to wait for the landmarks. As I said, this A peak most likely reject the 200 EMA, or even a little bit before that. Then we're doing from our bottom to our top a 0.5 or a 0.618 or something in between. In the moment we finish this, we can squeeze. That would be the slowest version, because you have to do the higher low, you have to do the A. The quickest version would be if we fall on Monday pre-market under 112 and squeeze from there. Without A, just a little higher low, and we go. The not so long, but still longer version than this one would be we just go up for Monday. Yeah? We are not doing the higher low. That means confirmation for this would be breaking over $1.50. Yeah? But we would still do our A. Yeah? This could take 1 or 2 weeks, fine. But in that case, you're going up to your A, rejecting 200 EMA, falling back, and then you can squeeze. And you're just not doing the higher low, like in 2024. Yeah? So slowest version would be 2021, middle version would be 2024, and the quickest version would be kinda 2025, because you only have to do the higher low. Yeah. These 3 versions I have no versions where we just squeeze from here. I could be wrong. I can only track what I see. Okay. Before we go to GME, we will look at the combo chart and the dilution chart. We will start with the dilution chart. Just one warning, the dilution chart is completely white. Yeah, so careful. So dilution chart in 1, 2, 3. Okay. Here the dilution chart, just because so many people are afraid of dilution. I mean, I already showed it months ago, but just for a little update. This chart is going from August 2020 till November 2021. It's showing the dilution in the main squeeze of AMC. Yeah, because Adam Aaron can dilute 500 million shares again, and people are saying it's over. Yeah. The thing is, people are forgetting that we did the same thing in 2021. Before we got our all-time low here in 2021, we announced 200 million shares of dilution before the drop. Even shortly before we got our all-time low, we announced a dilution about 50 million. Then here in 2021, we did our little higher low, our 8-hour pullback, and start the run. In the beginning of the run, we announced another 50 million dilution. And in the middle of the run, the 200 million dilution were completed. And at the end of the run, by our A, the 50 million dilution were completed. And the thing is, in the moment the dilution was completed, all this dilution was completed here, the squeeze was over. At the first part, squeeze was over. And then we fell back. Then we did nothing. And shortly before the second part started, we announced a 43 million dilution again. And in the run, the second part of it, the 43 million dilution were completed again. Even here in the middle of the last run of AMC, we announced 8.5 million dilution again. And oh ho ho, the dilution were completed at the top. And to say this, short somewhere in this area here, AMC backed retail investors or general investors to vote for more shares. I mean, it's discussable, and I don't know it if the fractal would have changed if retail would have said yes, but back then retail said no. We want our squeeze. You are killing the squeeze if you dilute more, because no one, every of these stupid people who voted no, didn't look at this chart. Yeah? Maybe it would have changed something, maybe not. But what thing which is absolutely sure? First of all, Adam Aaron saved AMC till today, yeah, because without this dilution, AMC would already be bankrupt. And the second thing which would be absolutely sure, if stupid retail would have voted yes back then, AMC would be already debt-free. Okay, so, but the main point about this chart is there's no reason to be afraid of dilution. You see it here, dilution isn't bearish in a squeeze. It just isn't. Yeah? Okay. Whew. That was bright. Okay. So much for the chart and the dilution chart. Now we look at the combine chart. So for people who don't know what the combine chart is, on TradingView there's the option where you can add stocks together. Yeah, you can add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stocks, doesn't matter. This chart is AMC plus GME, and the only thing which it's doing, it's combining AMC and GME together. What's important to know is that AMC is stronger in this chart because it's the bigger stock. Yeah? That means if AMC is rising 5% or falling 5%, you nearly don't see that in the chart. If GME is running or rising 5%, you see that in the chart. And the price, of course, is the combination of AMC plus GME. The interesting part about the combine chart is that it's, especially for AMC, also for GME, the chart is presenting how these two charts should look like. What I mean with this, for the combine chart, the all-time low wasn't 2021. The all-time low was April 2020. That was our all-time low. Then we made a perfect higher low into January 2021. Then we had the two-part squeeze, because in this version here, AMC is presenting this. Clearly you see that, up, down, up to the top. And from 2021, we fell back to April 2024. This section here is half AMC, half GME. And from 2024 till today, we just do our higher low, as it should be. Also, you see it, the higher low, for my rules, shouldn't go over T, which we didn't, and it should be under the trend line, which it also is. Also to say that from April till April, so April 2020 to April 2024, this was just our main higher low. And the same like GME is doing right now, from April 2024 till today, this is just our micro higher low. So if we look just at this micro higher low, there is a bullish version and a bearish one. First we look at the bullish version. For the bullish version, and it's important to know for people who don't know the rules, all these letters are main landmarks, and the important part is they have a starting point and their ending point is always lower. Before there is not a lower low, the next landmark can't start. In that case, you have, you see, here is your lower high starting up to your L. Then here is the finish of the lower high. Perfect. Here your M point is starting. You go up to your peak. And here your M point is ending. And then here your T point is starting. And here you have your low, your absolute low for the bullish version. And your T is finished. Then you did your lower high, a higher low. Perfect. Under the trend line, under T, and you got your breakout. For the bullish version, this breakout here is your A. Yeah? If you take the fib from your bottom to your peak, it's a bounce between the 0.5 and the 618. So from now on, if this is A, this breakout retest is finished, and you will go to your B. Your B is over $41. Again, a combination of AMC and GME, but it should be easily over B, over M. And then you take from your A low to your B peak the 0.5 or 0.16. Normally it's the 0.5 and not the 0.16. And in that moment, we are at this point on the combo chart, AMC has finished its A pullback or its higher low, but especially, and I will show that later, GME is finishing its A pullback, and then both can squeeze. That's the bullish version. Yeah? For confirmation for that, also for GME, I will show that confirmation for that is if this combo chart is breaking 2690, yeah, then the bearish version is dead. What is the bearish version? Well, the bearish version just means this is not A, and this here is not your V. In that case, this last peak in February was your T. And you have to go down. In that case, we just look at the fib, because this would be higher low. This means this chart has to go under $19. Yeah? Which means most likely for GME, of course, $18 to $15, $16. Yeah? The price target, so many people are now fighting over Twitter. Yeah? You have 100% go under there. Yeah, I'm not saying 100%, I'm just saying it's a possibility. Yeah. For confirmation for that is if you break on the combo chart under 23 or under $24. Yeah, then I really see this version. Yeah. If something is on this combo chart, maybe it's just nonsense. I mean, it worked from 2020 till today. So I would say there is something on it. But let's see. Okay, well then let's jump into GME. So for GME, I have only a bullish and a bearish version. I don't believe in the bearish version, but you have to have a note. But bearish version at the end. GME doesn't have a megaphone pattern or something like that. It's just an uptrend. For GME, we have the all-time low also in April 2020, and the squeeze in 2021 was just our A. Then we made our A pullback, and as I showed on the combo chart, this section from April 2024 till today was just our micro higher low. The next thing should be, for the bullish tracking, our B. How high would this B go? I mean, there are so many price targets from $1,000 to $5 million a share, whatever. I can only give you price targets for what I see. And for GME, that would be this trend line. From IPO till today, we broke over it in 2008, but it was our rejection line in 2021. So now it would be around 350-ish. We could go a little bit over it, like in 2008, but somewhere in this range. Yeah, so 300 to 500, in my opinion. This would be big B. Yeah, and before we go into the micro tracking, that would mean we are still doing the same thing like in 2021, like in 2024. AMC, in my opinion, doing a two-part. GME is doing a one-part. In that case, whenever this down here is finished, you just go up to your peak target. After that, you're doing a massive pullback, the same like in 2021, the same like in 2024. And you come instantly up again to your lower high. Yeah? This section here, in my opinion, even if the fractal gets bigger, is something about 2 weeks max. After that, you're doing a 0.5 pullback. The same like here, same like here. This pullback can take, in my opinion, 3 to 6 years. Yeah? And it will go back to 58. Yeah? If we are not going higher than this. And after that, you can break this trend line, because then C is coming. Yeah? Which, whatever it is. But I mean, I don't think that anyone is still interested then. Before we go into this micro tracking, what is this whole thing? The thing is, this is our all-time low. We didn't do a macro higher low here. So for the bullish tracking, this whole thing would be higher low. Yeah? And the higher low is always ending in a V under A. That means after our C, we go to V under A. Yeah? Means under $10-ish. Yeah? That's important, because that is the bullish variant that we're just doing A from the higher low right now. The main problem is the bearish version right now. And this would be this one. I'm not thinking that, I'm just showing that. That means that 2021 was the peak of the higher low. And this whole thing would be our higher low right now. In that case, you're not squeezing this year or next year or maybe even 2028. That means you won't break the high of May 2024. You will fall under the low of 2024, of April. You will come up again, but you will reject this trend line. And after that, you will fall under $2. And then you will go to your A. I'm only showing that because you should always have an alternative. But I say that absolutely clearly, if GameStop is doing this, AMC is dead, bankrupt, delisted, whatever. Just saying. Not thinking that, but as an alternative. Okay, now again to the bullish tracking. So, are we finished in GameStop. So we start here with the bearish version just because it's quicker, and so we have it behind us. The bearish version is about who is so many people are fighting over. Yeah, means that the last peak of GME on February the 3rd in 2026 was our T. Yeah, and I mean the T of our little micro higher low. In that case, you will fall to 18, 17, 16, 15 maximum-ish. That would be your V. After that, you do your higher low. And then you break out and still do your A pullback. And sorry, then you squeeze. I also say that if we are doing that, it's most likely May or later. Yeah, there's no way doing that and still looking for March, April. No way. Confirmation for doing that would be if we break, in my opinion, under 22.72, then you will do this. Yeah? Now to the bullish version. So for the bullish version, your T was October 2nd, 2025. Your absolutely V was November 2025. You did your higher low already. In that case, your trend line is this. Yeah? You already broke out of this trend line, and I mean the trend line from 2024. This here right now would be small a. Small a, not big A, so small a. And if you look from your V to the top, it's a nice 0.5 bounce. And for the bullish version, you really have to start stopping going sideways and go up. In that case, you will go up. Somewhere in here will be a small B, maybe even a small pullback, but then you go up to your C, and the C would be your A. In my opinion, your A, it has to be over T. That means it has to be over 28.30. I would say something between 28.30 to 35 maximum-ish. And then you still have to do your 0.5 pullback. Yeah, so something like this. In the same moment, GME is finishing this. Also, AMC is finishing its A pullback or its bigger higher low. And then both can squeeze. For confirmation for this would be anything over 25.50, in my opinion. Yeah? If you go over 25.50, the bearish alternative I showed is off the table. Yeah? But because I said I'm okay with if AMC isn't doing A, yeah, and just doing higher low, GameStop has to do A. There is no way we're squeezing from here, in my opinion. That's also the reason why I don't see anything next week if AMC and GME are still synced, because GME has to do still its A and its pullback. And I mean, you could, if we are really quick, do the peak of A in 1 week, but you still need 1 week for the pullback. Yeah. So I maybe end of March, but I have to see landmarks for this. What I'm leaning more to, as I said, if we break 25.50, I am bullish. If we break 22.70, I am bearish for the near future. Yeah. Still, even if GME is going to 18.17, I still don't think that AMC will go to 50 cents like a very nice person is posting on Twitter. But yeah, he is using fundamentals for his tracking. I use technicals. So let's see. Okay, next one is BYND. So for BYND, one last time full update video. For BYND, the main problem for BYND is we never saw A or B. That will be important later. BYND started its IPO in the half run to its all-time high, to its C. Also interesting, the lower high of BYND was at the same time when AMC and GME made their squeezes. Then we fell down to our midpoint, and after that to our last time to sell before we get to our all-time low. The midpoint and the T are the important parts, because these 2 points are showing us if our bullish tracking is right, our next targets. For T, A should be over it. This is our next target, means something over $15. I would expect something between 15 and 25. And after the pullback, B should be over $43. The point is, before we go into micro tracking, the main problem we have is, as I said, we never saw A and B. Yeah? So we can't really see, because Fractal is always repeating itself, if this is a quick move to A with a pullback and a quick move to B with a pullback. But we can look at the other landmarks. We can look at half of C, half a complete L, complete M, complete T, and complete higher low. And what you will see is that at least the second half of the run to C was pretty vertical. Also, the run to our L was pretty vertical. Also, the run to M was vertical. Also, the run to T was vertical. And of course, the run to higher low was vertical. So if all these landmarks, everyone, was extreme vertical, you could believe that A or B is also extremely vertical. Or if you have bad luck, is that B and A are the only ones which are slow. But if every other landmarks is vertical, why should A and B be not vertical? But yeah, we have no confirmation for that. So there are only 3 versions. I mean, okay, the third version is this isn't higher low. This is just T. Yeah? And in that case, you make new all-time lows, and we're getting so low that this play is just over because of reverse splits, delisting, OTC, whatever. Yeah? Not seeing that, but you will always get an alternative from me. The other 2 versions are the bullish ones. One is we're doing something vertical. Yeah? That means we see something like LMT. Yeah? That means pretty vertical up here to $15 to $25. And then, because we are always doing the 2, slow pullback. Always. Means the pullback of A will be slow. The same like the pullback of higher low was slow. Then again, a pretty steep uptrend to B, and again, a small pullback. The slow version would be we doing it step by step. That means big A, big C, macro A. Yeah? This could take longer. Still believing this could be something between end of March to end of April, May-ish. Yeah? But for the bullish version, this was the low, and we go up from here. So when are we finished? Do we get lower? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah? So if you're just looking at our high low, is this finished? Yeah? I also have to say, yeah, looks like. If our all-time low in October is true, here's our peak of our higher low. We went down somewhere in here is your lower high. Here is your midpoint, and here is your T from your higher low. And then on February the 5th was the ending of our higher low. And since then, we did our micro higher low. And in the last 2 weeks, we made the breakout retest. So for the absolute bullish version, yeah, this is a nice breakout. And I already said we need the breakout retest. In that case, we still are bouncing on the 618. Yeah? I'm also saying always for the pullbacks to the 0.5 and the pullbacks to the 618, you don't have to bounce at the line. You can bounce over, a little bit over it, a little bit under it. The only important part here is, if this is our micro A, you are not allowed to touch 71.86 cents. Yeah. Only because I got the question, can we go to 70 cents again? For the absolute bullish version, you are not allowed to touch 71 cents. Just saying. But we will come to that. For this, you only have two ways now. This here was the bounce, and you go up from Monday on. The only alternative I see is that we have now to a micro higher low, and that means you have to go under 78 cents ish. Yeah, something like this, and then you go. And the only question is, are you doing then the small uptrend, or just like in October, the massive run? Yeah, that's the only two versions for the absolute bullish one. If you're breaking or touching 71 cents, I tell you, this can't be A anymore. In that case, you have to push the trend line up here, and this whole thing is just our higher low. But to say that also, we still have a little gap here between 66 and 65 cents. And if you remember, if you're watching me already sometime, I said I want to fill this gap because it would be the last fucking gap we have. If you break 71 cents, in my opinion, you will fill this gap. The only shitty part about this, then it getting again dangerous, because we don't want to touch 64 cents. Yeah, that would be bad. If you touch or break 64 cents, that would be really, really bad. Yeah. Still, I think, first of all, I still think this could be easily this. Yeah, we will get our answer next week. If we're really falling under this, I wouldn't panic as long as you're not touching or breaking 64 cents. Yeah. But if we go under 71, you will feel this gap. Yeah. But still, this looks, for now, absolutely bullish. And I mean, the news is already writing itself, because you always read, yeah, price targets were raised to this, and they are now making energy drink, blah, blah, blah. I already said so many times that the news is always be written for the move, not the other way around. Move comes always first, then the news, for this theory. Yeah? But BYND is still looking perfect. Okay, next one is DJT. So for DJT, I really have only one really good tracked bullish version. The bearish version for DJT is that this last low we are doing is not holding, and we are doing the same shit like FFAI, and we just knife. To what? If we break this low, I can't tell you. Then we have to wait for the new low, for the higher low as confirmation, and then we can track further. Not seeing that yet, but always have an alternative. For the bullish alternative, it looks fucking fantastic. For the bullish alternative, you see on the weekly, we just did one candle from the V to the top. Yeah? And after that, we made our perfect lower high. Here also, for people who don't know it, for all the landmarks, they're starting at a point, and they have to go lower from their starting point to be finished. Yeah? So for our lower high here, it started here in November 2021. Technically, it finished here, but really it ended here. So this is our lower high. After that, here started our M, and this whole thing is our M. Here, lower high, lower low, sorry. This is our M. And here was our T starting, and since today, we are doing our T. That's important, yeah. For the next steps. Now we have to do the higher low. I will come to that in a second because there's 3 versions of this higher low. But the thing is, after the higher low, our next A, our next price target is over our T line, which is something over 60. And our B is over our M line. This is over 80. There's only one thing. If we're doing this by the rules one by one, you're doing your V, high low, A pullback, B pullback, C, breaking all-time highs or not. But if you look at DJT, all the up moves are always vertical. Vertical, long pullback, vertical uptrend, long pullback, vertical uptrend, long pullback. Even the smaller ones, yeah, are always vertical. V, vertical higher low, slow downtrend. V, vertical T, small downtrend. Yeah. So I can't wish that off the table that you're not doing A pullback, B pullback, that you're doing after your high low just something stupid. I can't write that off, yeah? Especially if I look at this. And the next thing is this: if this is the bottom and we are finished, this is fractal 1 finished. Yeah. The next A, also if this is just A, yeah, or if this is just higher low, this whole thing, yeah, the next big landmark, whatever it is, has to be over all-time highs. Yeah, whatever news we will get, yeah, but whatever this is doing, this could be fucking huge. Yeah. Now to the higher lows. The thing is, there are 3 of them. Yeah. Before we go into this one, if the bottom is in or not, we start with the smallest one. The smallest higher low means the higher low just of our T. Yeah. That means this higher low will go up here. You won't break 17 and you're not breaking over this trend line. Let's look at this 24 hours. So we have after hours also in here. Then you will reject. Yeah. If this was your top, you will reject at $10. And then comes the stupid part. Yeah. Absolute bullish version. This little higher low is enough. And after that, you just go. Yeah. The only thing I have to say to this, I'm not ruling that out, but to say that my main problem is that this small higher low for this big T, this big M, and this big L is a little bit too small for me, but possible. And I also have a playing idea for this, but that comes at the end. Second one, we're doing this, but this is just our micro higher low. And we still have to do the big macro higher low. In that case, you have your normal trend line. In that case, after you did this, you will do this. In that case, you're not breaking over the main trend line. That means you're not breaking over $30-ish. And after that, you pull back to $12, $13. And after that, you're doing your A pullback, B pullback, or again, you're doing something stupid. Version 3 is my new rule I showed also in the tutorial videos, where what happens if your T is too short to touch this trend line. In that moment, in that case, you're doing just a trend line from your M to your T. I'm not 100% sure about this rule, but I already saw that in so many tickers that if your T is too short to touch the trend line, it's working. In that case, your higher low peak isn't allowed to break this trend line. it would be smaller, but also quicker. In that case, you're not allowed to break over 22. And you have to go under $12 again. And then again, after that, you're doing your A pullback, B pullback, or you're just doing something stupid. So no financial advice. Just for my trading idea is, before we look at this little thing here, if this confirmation is in, I would just play, for example, contracts or shares to $16, $17. And if we reject here, I take profit. If we suddenly, stupidly not rejecting here and breaking for this case over 20, I am still holding and waiting for the rejection at 26 and take profit down here again. If we also breaking this, fuck it. Yeah, that's my trading idea. Yeah, you can of course do your own trading idea. So for confirmation here, we go on the 1 hour here. The important part is this here is now our V, February 17. We did the first higher low. We are doing the second higher low right now. The thing is, I could easily see we still have a tiny bit to drop. I mean, if you can do that absolutely correct. No, we didn't broke it. No. So we could still fall a little bit. Yeah, maybe even to $9.90. Yeah, that's no problem. But you are not allowed to break or touch 980. If you break or touch 980, it will be FFAI or bull. Yeah, just saying. Yeah, then we have to find a new low. Then we have to wait for the higher low confirmation and blah blah. It will take time. Yeah. So as long as you're not touching or breaking that, fine. If you go over $11.11, this would be bullish for me. No financial advice, but this would be, if you go over this, this would be confirmation for me that the bottom is in and we can play for the upside. Yeah. But all in all, as long as you're not touching 980, this thing looks fucking fantastic. Especially because the moves of DJT looks always fucking fantastic. But let's see. Okay. And last one for today is SOUN. And for SOUN, I really have to say, I'm still trying to find a bullish version, because the only version I have right now is this one. SOUN started its IPO in the run to its all-time high. Perfect. Or old all-time high. Then somewhere in here is your lower high. Then you made your perfect midpoint, perfect T-point, last time to sell, before you find your all-time low. Here you also did your perfect little higher low, under T, under the trend line. You broke out, over your T line to your A. Also, if you take from the bottom to the peak up a fib, you bounced at the 618. Then you went up again over your M line. So this is your B. Also, if you take from your A low to your B peak, you see also perfect between 0.5 and 0.16, but you didn't broke the 618. So perfect B. And then the shitty part came, you broke over your all-time highs. And the main problem is that this really looks like a C. And the even more big problem is that you made a lower high after that. Yeah. This point here could be M or L. And I say that M would be even more bullish than your L, because if this is just L, oh my God. My main problem right now is you could be, in my opinion, easily right now somewhere in here. Yeah, if not even, even if here. Yeah, that's the main problem I have with this stock right now. Yeah. And then comes the next problem. If this whole thing here, is a C, your next target is V under A, and that means $1.51. Yeah. Most likely we do repeat something like this, and this will end here. Yeah. In the most bullish tracking, yeah, this would be your A and this would be your B, which we can't know because there is nothing before that. In that case, you only have to go to $4.33. So if you're doing maybe something stupid and bouncing here, that is bullish, because then you will go over all-time highs. If you're breaking under this, especially if you're breaking under 326, in my opinion, you will go to 151. Yeah. I'm still looking for something bullish. My main problem right now is, I already said that in the German video. I even tried to say, okay, what if this is just higher low and we move our targets like this? Yeah. First of all, that could work. Yeah, it could work. Main problem, this isn't working. Because your peak of the higher low isn't going over T, and this isn't going under 786. So I can't draw it otherwise right now. Yeah. But I'm still looking for something. Maybe I'm wrong, but for me, this is my main tracking for SOUN right now. Let's see. Okay. For this video, this will be the meme roadmap video. Every time I won't do every week now all over again and show for new people, and will show for new people always the whole tracking over again. I will use this video as a link, so we only can go over updates for the main meme stocks like AMC, GME, DJT, and beyond. That's why it's also nearly 1 hour long, because I wanted to show everything what we did in the last months. Okay. The explanation video for the Fractal Method I will put here. Playlist here. As always, if you liked it, you can leave a like, and if you want to see more, you can leave an abo. I wish you still a happy weekend, and let's see what happens next week. See ya.